Hello, everybody. Welcome to Voices of Men. This is the strictly only men edition.
Hey.
I don't know where she came from. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot. Today we're gonna bring you a topic that was brought to us by one of our followers that happened to give it to us yesterday. It is, why did we get married? Great question. I'm gonna let you start.
So that's it. That's no segue, no intro. We're just diving right into why we got married.
Dive right into it.
Well, I mean, I guess it all depends on what the criteria is. I mean, first of all, if you want to look at it from a biblical context, the Bible tells us, "He that finds a wife finds a good thing, obtains favor with the Lord." And then I think there's a part of marriage or just life in general where what you desire comes into play, right? Again, the scriptures say, if you delight yourself also in the Lord, He'll give you the desires of your heart. And for me, it was a desire. I desire to be married. Now, the follow-up question would be why it took God so long. But it worked out pretty well for me. So for me, the why is connected to my desire. I desire to be married. I didn't desire singleness. And so that for me is the why of why I got married. Of course, it helps that I found somebody that I love, somebody that I still do love. And so the fact that we were compatible, the fact that we believed that it was of the Lord's doing, all complemented very nicely. But for me, the why is my desire. I simply desire to be married.
That makes sense. So you wasn't pressured or anything of any sort like that. You just happened to be able to run smooth into it, and
no shotgun wedding here, brother. I was desirous to be married, and God finally sent me somebody that I was compatible with, and the rest, as they say, is history.
So was it an easy thing for you though, like to even initiate? Hey, what's going on? I want to marry you.
No. Now we're getting into two different things.
Okay.
Why I got married was because I had a desire to be married. Now, was it an easy transition? No. I mean, I was 35 years old, and frankly, as I've said multiple times down through the years, I had actually just become comfortable in my singleness, which was kind of weird. I had been kind of disgruntled and a little restless and anxious to be married, earlier in my late 20s, early 30s. By the time 35, even though it was a desire of mine, I was beginning to think, well, maybe it's not in the cards, maybe it's not God's will, if you will. But then God sent me Audrey. God sent me who I believed He was saying would be my wife. And then the transition is not easy because you have a lifetime of history in your singleness and all of what that entails, your freedom, your liberties, kind of controlling and really only being concerned about yourself. And then, of course, when you're married, that all changes. You're now head of household. You're now, depending on the structure of the relationship, but Audrey was willing to allow me to be that. And it all changes. So I needed the Lord, which He had already begun to do, but I needed Him to not only prepare me, but I frankly needed Him to accelerate the process because, there was no training wheels. You're married, as you know, and you're finding out.
Yeah.
It does come with a manual, though. We often say with parenting doesn't come with a manual. I would say both parenting and marriage comes with a manual. The manual is the Word of God. And so, but yeah, it was easy because I was in love. It was challenging because my old habits had to die and my old way of doing things had to die as well.
I definitely would have to agree with that. For me, I got married strictly out of love. That's just somebody. My wife is someone that I really knew that I was going to be with for the rest of my life. We've already had the discussion prior to me even asking her to marry me or anything like that, that we were already certain that we didn't want to be in a long-term boyfriend-girlfriend type situation for the rest of our life, and we didn't want to just date to date. Or the whole thing from the beginning was to be with each other with intent to move forward and build a life together. So that was already a plus for me on that aspect, on top of everything else that came along with it. For me, it was more so of the, hey, she wanted me to be better. Like, hey, no, you're not. With me, to be with me, you got to be better. You got to do things differently. You got to move accordingly because I want bigger and better things. And
now, she was saying that to you
verbally.
That's awesome.
Outright.
That's awesome.
So, and that actually drove me to do a lot of things that I wasn't doing in my life.
Like what? Give me an example.
For instance, driving. I had a fear of driving. You know, that was my thing. I was scared to get behind the wheel and things of that nature. But she would tell me, well, listen, you want to be with me, I'm not driving you around. Just
So,
point
so
blank, period.
let me quickly interject. So you're telling me that she had the ability to make you something that you weren't. So rather than saying you ain't nothing, you don't even drive. She kind of created the vision for what she wanted y'all's relationship to look like,
Correct.
and you were willing to go do what was necessary.
Exactly.
Driving being one example.
She sometimes gets not upset, but like, all right, why are you giving me so much credit? But she doesn't understand that was just the fire to keep me going, to fuel me to do bigger and better things. And it spiraled. You know what I mean? You know, it spiraled into, getting my license, getting better job opportunities, or just being able to drive myself to and from anywhere I wanted to go.
See what that strobe light is. What's going on there? Oh, it's probably from my outside Christmas lights that are coming through the window.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure the Russians weren't coming after us, man. I'm like, oh, what's going on? All right, so that's good. That's good. So she kind of created, and instead of criticizing, she helped and she exhorted you. And then for your part, you didn't feel like she was nagging, or did you?
No, I didn't feel as though she was
Because that's
nagging.
the thing, brothers. That's the thing. You got to be careful, because I have a wife that's very much like that. In fact, I think your wife learned it from my wife.
It's a learning trait.
You learn that thing where okay, he's a procrastinator, or he won't do this even though he's good at it, and then they kind of stir you to action. They stir you to take action, I should say. And you didn't feel like, oh, she's nagging me, leave me alone, I'll do it. Okay, I love that.
No, I didn't feel that way, honestly, because of the fact that I wanted to get over that fear of driving. I wanted to be like, the rest of my peers out here going on road trips and be able to drive. And, it did make sense that, I wanted to be able to be like, hey, I could take my girl out somewhere and drive somewhere rather than my girl drive. And then even though I may pay or whatever, and still be like, all right, well, drive me home. It felt like I was taking a short, and I didn't want to take that short.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So, and that made it easier. Now, the actual proposal part, it took a lot for me per se, because it was one of the most nerve-wracking things that I've ever done in my life.
Now tell me what some of the trepidation was, because you already mentioned a moment ago that you were in love.
Right.
And so, was it Tina Turner? We could finally answer the question. She said, "What does love got to do with it?" Was that Tina? All right, you're a little younger. And I think it was Tina.
I got what you got to do with it.
Okay, we'll leave that to others. But the point is, it has everything to do with it.
Right.
So even though you were in love, even though you had a woman that you were crazy about, that was not nagging you but stirring you to be better, when it came time for the marriage or the proposal, is that what you said? The proposal, there was some apprehension. Tell me what the apprehension was about. Was it you not feeling that you were ready for this season? Or was it just such a big leap that you were like, man, I don't know?
There was a question, was it pride? That's somebody's question.
Oh, great. Okay. So was it pride relative to the apprehension of proposing?
No, it wasn't the pride aspect. It was really more so that I knew that once I proposed, if she said yes, that it was going to change the rest of our life. Our dynamic of our relationship was going to change for the rest of our life. We had planned now that's when, I come until I find out now that you're definitely planning to merge families now. You're definitely planning on to merge all the plans that you have for the rest of your life, finances and living conditions and everything of the sort now. So now that was all flashing in my head, like, okay, what is life going to be like? This is not something that I'm accustomed to. Commitment was a little different for me.
It's not my outside lights.
The commitment was the level of commitment. The level of commitment was a little different for me. So it's now okay. I go through all of this and prepare for everything. The stage is set. You were there at the halftime situation. Now I proposed at a halftime game. I proposed at a game at halftime.
Basketball
game at halftime. And aside from, I didn't really think that everybody else was going to stop and go, hey, pull out cameras. So now I got cameras on me. I have the family. I have my wife looking at me like, are you serious? This can't be really happening right now. You're joking, right? Get off the floor. So when she said get off the floor and stop playing, it was like, oh, okay. And again, now all of the things that I was already thinking in my head are flashing in my head. Like, is this something she ready for? Is this something that I'm gonna be ready for? So all of these things are now flashing.
Well, listen, and I appreciate your transparency, but I think the fact of the matter is that any change, especially something as, life-changing as going from singleness to matrimony, is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Change, fear of the unknown, if you will. Now, I know the answer because I happen to be, as you said, I was there. I took you guys through what we call pre-Cana, premarital counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that is critical because you all that are not yet married, you that are considering marriage, you that are plotting the course, you that may be in my position, you may be getting along in age, I was 35, and your desire still is to be married. I can't stress enough how important the pre-Cana marital counseling is.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to me about, and you could just be honest, don't feel obligated because I was the one that did it. Did you feel there was value in that? Did you think that it set some foundation for expectations? Like we had that Dr. Phil type moment where we say, okay, now tell her what you're expecting in a wife, tell him what you're expecting in a husband, because marriage is going to get choppy.
Yes.
And I think that it helps if you have somebody that's been there from the beginning.
Right. And it helped a lot. And I won't just say, just like you said, I won't just say because you helped us with it. It helped a lot in the sense of to know the expectations of what you have to live up to a certain degree. Because we fail, we're human beings, but you have, that's what you're striving for. Okay, this is what you're looking for, this is what you want, and now I have to do my job to the best of my abilities to get to that person that you see fit. So this way we can reach some kind of common ground. I feel as though that was that's was the pinnacle for us. That was great. That was, I can't think enough because I would have never thought of that, because I knew nothing about marriage. My parents were married, but they were young and they got divorced, so I didn't know what it was to see a married couple. I didn't know what it was. Like my uncle and my aunt were the longest people married that I know of, but I wasn't physically seeing them what the marriage life was like. Mm-hmm. So to now know that, hey, this is how we go through this step. This is what you do in order to move forward.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Now I'm telling her, hey, babe, this is what I expect, and she's telling me what she expects, so we can figure out where we're able to meet each other at.
Yeah, I like that. And sometimes I'm fond of saying, and I've seen this in my own marriage, from a Christian, a biblical perspective, I don't think that it's by accident that the first miracle that Jesus ever worked was at a wedding. It was at the wedding in Cana of Galilee, and specifically the miracle was that they had run out of wine. Mm-hmm. And I use that, as you know, in the premarital counseling because there will be times, and as it relates to that miracle, it says that Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding. Mm-hmm. And I tell people two things relative to that scripture in the premarital counseling. Number one, in the marriage, the wine will run low from time to time. And that's symbolic. I'm not talking about the actual wine, because that's easy if that's your thing. The symbolism of that sometimes the wine will run low. The question then becomes, is Jesus an invited guest to the wedding, which is a ceremony for a day, or is he invited to the marriage? Mm-hmm. Because indeed, the wine will run low. So you have to find out in this premarital setting. I loved my bishop that took Audrey and I through it because he said, look, you could be flat broke, but she reserves the right to know that. You could be flat broke, but he reserves the right to know that. You can have an issue, you can have a problem that's yet unresolved. That in and of itself is not a deal breaker. You don't have to cancel the nuptials because of that, but the other person has a right to know. Mm-hmm. See, that's where it gets tricky when we start coming into something, stuck on a secret, or we're not letting it all be known. We got to make sure that all the cards are on the table so that they can decide whether they're going to play the hand or whether they're going to fold. But you can't decide to play the hand or fold until all of the facts are on the table. And so I ask people all the time, in the marriage, the wine will run low. Money could be an issue. Sex could be a problem. There could be problems in the marriage that don't have nothing to do with you two per se, but it might be third cousin twice removed, and now you're involved in it. So all of these things. So ask yourself but one question: is Jesus invited to the wedding ceremony, or is he invited to the marriage? What's your thoughts?
And when you actually provided us with that question, it did raise a lot of like your eyebrows start to raise, and you start to really think. My gears started turning. Like, okay, well, I was already broke, So for me, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was already broke. So for me, it was like, okay, now it's up to you. You know, I'm broke, babe. What do you want to do? Like, hey, you want to stick with me till we get better, till we get to a greater point in our life, to where we can sit there and actually grow and be better people. And, you know, that was now her thing to decide whether she wanted to do that or not. Because I was already, like I said, I'm already broke. I'm not saying she was the richest person in the world, but she was better off than I was at the time. So easily she made more money than I did at the time. So then it became, okay, well, you know, as long as I was willing to work, I was willing to love her and do everything else, then that became something that she was like, okay, well, I'm willing to do, but I don't plan on living like this forever.
I love it because the more that you talk, the more that I'm hearing the power of what she was able to, and you too, both of you were able to cultivate each other, and you become in the marital ceremony that I do. There's a part in the ceremony where we talk about God has afforded each of you the opportunity to grow into more complete manhood and more complete womanhood. And I love the fact that it sounds like what you're saying is, and I don't think this should be minimized, you really did have a decision when she was cultivating and you're cultivating, right? To say, well, oh man, he's always nagging me. Oh, this guy's always riding me. Oh my goodness, just leave me alone, give me space, you know. But you took it as something that was positive, something that was beneficial for the long-term goals of the relationship. Now, talking to you, but I'm also talking to them out there, men and women. What, if anything, do you want to talk to us about the benefit of accountability? Do you have an accountability person or partner in your life? I'm talking as it relates to the marriage. Do you have somebody that you could just be flat out, this is the deal, this is what's going on, or is that person not presented themselves as of yet?
I feel as though it's been a village per se, and you know it hasn't. You know, I feel like because of I've taken on you guys as, you know, my family. So because you guys, you know, you and Miss Audrey are married, my in-laws are married. So, you know, I've now have a lot of married couples in front of me that I now take examples in bits and pieces of. I now get different types of examples where I didn't have it before. So now, you know, I always come pick your head. Hey, Pastor, as a man, how do I lead my family? Or, hey, Pastor, as a man, how do I get everything together? And you and I have had these open discussions. You know, I even now go to Miss Audrey, you know, not now, but like I go to Miss Audrey too, before in the past, and ask her from a woman's perspective, hey, what do I do? Or my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law. I'm going to a bunch of people because, like I said, this is all new to me. Aside from, hey, this is not, like I said, it's not boyfriend-girlfriend stuff. This is real life, and it always is an ever-changing situation for us. You know, so I feel like you need more than one person to come to get different type of opinions to be able to build your own. Even though at the end of the day, my best person to go talk to is my wife, because we're in this relationship together. No one else is in this relationship. Yeah, we can get a bunch of opinions from everyone else, but at the end of the day, I'm living with her. We pay our bills together. We do everything else together. Wash the clothes, whatever we got to do together, we're doing it together. So at the end of the day, the best person to go to is her, but we have a whole village.
Get the green now.
You're really wise. Dare I say, wise beyond your years, because I love that. It takes a village. I get the input of the village, but as we like to say, when it really comes down to it, this has to be resolved between me and her. You know, two can't walk together unless they be agreed. And so while I value the input of those that I seek godly counsel with, you know, what really matters is that her and I, and in fact, it was one of the pieces of marital advice that my late great bishop gave Audrey and I hold it dear and near to this day. And that was, be careful at the time of turbulence. Be careful when the wine runs low, who you confide in. Because normally what happens is you guys will reconcile. But that seed that you sowed while you were angry, if you called your buddy, if you called auntie, or if you called your pastor, and you running her down, or vice versa, she's running you down, and then you guys reconcile. But when they see you, they don't see you as reconciled. They see you as no good that she said you were when, you know, it was all going down. Right. So we have to be careful even in our village. We have to be careful even in our godly counsel, because that's why I say you're wise beyond your years. You know, at the end of the day, when we put our head to the pillow, when we lock our door, see, the house, the apartment, the home, the condominium, that's got to be your sanctuary. Right. I'm so big on that, man. Listen, my wife will tell you, I'm big on that. If I can't come in here and find solace. If I can't come in here and find rest, then this just ain't gonna work, because we've got enough outside
That's going to
mitigating
us.
factors that come out against us, that tell us what we're not, that bring pressure upon us. I need to be able to know that when I come home, I have a safe place. I have a sanctuary. Now, we're going to continue our conversation, but if there's anybody out there
Yes.
that wants to type in a question, you might have a comment, let's involve you in this conversation as well tonight, if you'd be so kind, ma'am or sir. In the meantime, I'll just quickly say, for those that are not aware, this is really my son-in-law. This is my son-in-law in the degree that he married my daughter. Well, he married my goddaughter, specifically Maya, but I don't look at Maya and Zane as god niece or niece, and I look at them as my they want to sign us already?
No. It's
Boy, I thought that was Steve Harvey, boy.
The first
Boy, hey,
time.
listen, Steve, you better get in while you can, Doc. Listen, I'm telling you, I thought it was Steve Harvey. Like, I like what I'm hearing. He would be wise to jump in while the stock is yet here, because the stock is rising.
Yes,
but
sir.
the point is, I don't look at Maya as anything other than my daughter. I don't look at Zane as anything other than my daughter. Now, we realize you have a father-in-law in the flesh. We thank God for Julio, and I really thank God for him, because he is a wonderful father. But in addition, you know, if they were stuck with me, they'd have a dad that can't fix a thing, can't change oil, can't change a flat. So we thank God for Julio, because he can do all of that stuff. So God gives us each our gifts. But this is really my son-in-law. That's the way that I look at it. That's the way that I see it. That's the way that I view it. And so there's pressure in that, because we want the best for our daughter.
Right.
You know, so when you come in those counseling moments, and we have those moments, and I tell you, basically, you got to go home. In essence, I know you're a good disciple, because you basically just communicated what I've told you a million times, which is, look, this is all well and good, but you got to go make this right with my daughter, with your wife. So with that being said, we started with why marriage? Why marriage? And we talked about the fact that we were in love. We talked about the fact that we desired it. Now let's talk about the benefits of it, right? Now, studies have been done. Married men live longer. The life
about to live a long
expectancy
life. Let's
of
go.
a married man.
If she don't kill me first.
Well, that's different. We do have those. You know, listen, I'll come and say something nice. I'll put you right in the ground. I'll have a good old party for you. But the fact is, no, serious. The life expectancy of a married man is longer than that of a single man. And so, talk to me about not so much the why. We've addressed some of that. We've talked about
The benefits,
the desire. Tell me about some of the benefits.
For me, the benefits is the constant. Before, I gotta go back before I can, revisit now. Before, in my past, I wasn't the best in terms of commitment. So it was always whether or not it was some form of drama, because I'm always bouncing around from one to the next. That's the.
You're a drama queen?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was,
They got me nervous,
I was
because you
in the middle- I
don't
was in
usually
the-
hear men use the word drama. So I'm like,
I was in the
whoa.
middle of a lot of it, because I was
Okay,
dealing with more than one woman. You know what I mean? So
Men
Okay.
are drama. Men are drama. I know I'm not on this segment, but men are drama.
I thought this was a section of. You heard?
We didn't say that.
Did you
we,
hear?
we-
Wait,
hold on.
To my audience, forgive me, I got
Hold
my producers
on.
in my ear. My
Hold
producers.
on.
Oh, no, wait, time out. I thought this
Time
was-
out. It was not a men's segment. They said they wanted you to discuss why did you get married. We wanted to hear from you more. But we are going to ask some questions over here, because y'all giving testimonies and y'all don't want to get to the hard stuff.
No, we
talked about before the other day.
Hold on, where's Sister
We
Toya?
half an hour. She ain't even here.
What are we here
And
for?
we
What?
doing it for her, and then we are half an hour late. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so what's the question?
Go ahead.
I thought we.
You said we had a question?
I thought
No,
we-
you can answer it. We trying to see why you got married. I'm
We
the wife
already-
over here, so I know what happened.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, but I said why I got married. I
Now we
desire to
discussed
be
the
married.
benefits, right?
Okay.
See,
I had
So
to go
what's the
backwards
benefits?
to move forward.
Well, that's what we were
Yeah,
trying
I
to
had
get
go
into before
backwards.
we were into.
Okay, so y'all going backwards to go frontwards.
I had to
No,
See,
explain-
that's
I'm
the
going-
problem.
I'm
That's
going
the
right
problem
in
with
order
that.
now.
See, you're seeing what we were talking about a couple of days ago.
How'd you take her 20,000
I'm just
words
saying,
already?
yo, I'm just saying.
I want to hear from the audience. Were we rolling? Were we going? Was this a segment
Yeah,
that was?
I'm pretty
What
sure.
No,
are we
they were
doing
falling
here?
asleep.
Oh,
Oh, all right. So thank you for having me. The real host is coming back in. She's gonna fix all of this, and I'm gonna go back to my
Now,
Friday night.
see, that's why I like to see him come in, because that's
No,
feelings.
no, y'all ain't gonna
feelings.
put me out here like
I
this.
should talk
Feelings.
to you. This is what we
I
was
was
talking
trying to
about.
get
Hold
to
on.
the benefits
Feelings.
of marriage. This is not one of them. This here, this ain't no benefit. Now the Bible say God daily loadeth me with his benefits. But for me to come on my wife's podcast as a guest host to be berated by the person that invited me. There's no benefits there, folks.
Who's berating?
Now, I don't know if this
Who's
was like,
berating?
you know how sometimes in shock jock radio they have like it's planned and they try to make like, oh, they went, oh, Steve Harvey, they do that all the time. For all of you that actually believe those calls are real, that's all staged, but y'all believe it, so they keep doing it. But the point is, what I'm trying to figure out here is I need my audience to be with me now. We're talking good stuff. We're trying to get to the benefits of marriage, and now we're being accosted. Now, I'm just trying to tell you.
I felt hurt. I hurt a little bit. I
I'm ready to, you know.
I finally started letting loose.
Go ahead. No, we can hear without them. We don't need them.
Come on, okay.
We want to know what the
all
general public is saying. You said a question.
Okay.
You talked about the folks that, I believe it was yesterday, somebody contacted my wife and wanted to hear from the man's perspective or something like this. So I thought that's what we're doing
Yeah,
here.
let me text her and make sure she get on.
She's on a roll, folks. She's on a
I'm
roll.
on the roll.
No, so the point being is, I was trying to say the benefits, and there are many. There are many. There's just a wonderful thing.
It's a best friend always with you.
Yeah,
There's always a best
support.
friend there, support when you need it.
Yeah.
You know, someone obviously to help with the decisions. You know, in a marriage, it's a lot of decisions you have to make. Hey, even as small as, hey, are we eating here or are we not eating here? From even from that small to, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do if we can't meet so and so? You know what I mean? Like if we can't hit this level budgeting, or you know what I mean? It's a great benefit to it, because where I lack, she's there. I'm not as organized.
Yeah.
I'm not as organized. I'm not gonna lie to you. I suck at organization. But my wife is like, oh, did you remember to do this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, babe. You know, I almost hate saying no sometimes, because, you know, she probably reminded me like 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think she learned that from my wife too, because Audrey is very good at, you know, making sure that what needs to be done is done. She kind of motivates me in that regard. But I think there's, you know, for me, you know, outside of God, you know, this unconditional love is a wonderful thing when realized.
And not to cut you off, that right there,
Yeah.
God, she actually brought me back to the church,
Yeah.
where I wasn't there for a while. I didn't see the, you know, what the purpose of going to church was, or why would I go to church, until she offered me, hey, listen, I'm going to church on Sundays. If you want to come see me on Sunday, that's where I'll be at. And that's where I went. And I enjoy it a lot. You know, days I go without her and she don't, you know, hey, where you at? She knows at least I'm at church on Sunday, whatever, Bible study, whatever the case may be.
Well, that's a good thing. So, what is it, love? Do we got anybody willing to participate in the way of a question or a comment? I'm a little far away from seeing the screen. So, no, I can tell like who's coming on, but I can't see if there's a question per se.
Oh, hashtag blunt. Yes, Jay. Hashtag blunt.
Right. Oh, that's Jay. Yes.
Yeah,
And
hashtag
Jonathan.
blunt.
And
It's a little
okay,
late,
so
a
that's
little late.
Instagram. I see Jordan on there. That's good. I see Stacy's jumped on over here.
Fellas, if you were on, comment,
Stacey.
don't leave us
We
anything. If
appreciate
you are
you.
married, or, you know, in a committed relationship, something, let us know the benefits of having a stable partner, you know, a consistent partner.
Yeah. I do think that there really is something
What are
to...
your benefits? I didn't
Well,
know.
I have so many. I mean, just the fact
Give me
that...
10.
Well, one, the unconditional love. It's
okay.
just, you can't really state it for somebody. You know, we understand that from God. When God loves us unconditionally because of his attributes of mercy and, you know, the covenant that he's connected to regarding us, we can see it. But when you see a person, I'll tell you a real quick aside. I remember when, you know, the Lord spoke that Audrey would be my wife. And I do believe, as I stated tonight, that the person has the right to make decisions based upon the facts. All the cards got to be put on the table, and then each of you have an opportunity to decide based upon what you have privy them to. And I can remember one time in particular when I was doing ministry down in North Carolina, and I started to confide in her some of the what I thought would be skeletons in my closet, some of the things that, you know, I thought it was important for her to know. And I never will forget, I really felt about this small, and I'm like, man, this is probably it. Like, I was on the phone, you know, it was, we were actually on the telephone, it was many years ago, and we were having late night conversation. I really just let it out, so to speak, let it be known. And I really did feel like it was going to be something cordial, but, you know, not going to go forward. And I never will forget, she simply said, and that's it. And I was like shocked. I was like, "Are you serious right now? Like, do we got a bad connection?" Because I was sharing some things that, frankly, I thought I would have taken to my grave. But she said, "That's it." So that was the first time that I seen the unconditional love, realized. And so that's clearly a benefit. And then, of course, somebody just to navigate life with. I said to my wife the other day, she got injured, and then, of course, there was an incident after that caused her to rebuttal what I had previously said several days earlier. And I said to her, and I meant it, and I still hold fast to this, I said, we going to grow old together well. We're going to grow old together well. And then we had an incident where something got spilled, and I didn't handle it well in the bedroom. Something dropped on the new carpet, and I overreacted. And she immediately came back to, well, see, you said we ain't going to. So all of that. But so that idea of, growing with somebody. And that to me goes back to kind of why we got married, which is where we started. So I had a desire. Right. So you can't, when God says it's not good that man should be alone, I seen that. I realized that in real time. And so, of course, everything's not always utopia, but to have somebody that loves you unconditionally and is growing with you, and the fact that it is good that you're not alone, these are all benefits. When you bring in the family dynamic to it, when you bring in the children, when you bring in her business, when you bring in her mentoring others, when you bring, she's just such a wonderful person. And that's kind of what I wrestled with in the beginning.
Are you saying it's because she's sitting right next to us?
No, brother. Listen,
I'm messing with you.
I got tapes of me saying it when she was nowhere near me. This is just what's in comes out. And the fact of the matter is, as we say, I outkicked my coverage. And so some of my fear was that I did not, and it's true, I didn't deserve her. I want to say that. I didn't deserve Audrey. No way.
So
but,
did that push you to another level?
No.
Or did it?
Well, how so? Another level? What meaning?
Another level of in the sense of like for my example, made you do better, made you move a little faster, or like you said in search, quicken.
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't think so. No, I know that that's your story, and that's a wonderful. That wasn't. I never felt that. I felt that she was going to love me regardless, and there was something very reassuring in that. Okay. I wasn't like walking on eggshells. I wasn't afraid to make a mistake. I just knew that she loved me. I just knew that she loved me. I knew that she hated the devil. And so those are two very favorable things in the marriage, that she's loving me unconditionally. She's warfaring on my behalf. And, we just started, on this journey. Now, of course, what the challenge became was what we alluded to earlier. I was 35, she was 35. So not that there were bad habits, but we were in the routine of being single. That's a long time to be by yourself. And so, we had to navigate what it means to now be one, that you don't make decisions solely. And I struggle with that a little bit still now, that sometimes I'll make a decision that at the end of the day turns out to be selfish. And so, you say, well, wait a minute now, that's not what you signed up for. You said you desired to be married, and in marriage, the two become one, so you're not just making the decision for you anymore.
Right, and that's something, like you said, it's something that I also struggle to deal with too. It's because I also struggle to be, because I'm passive by nature, a more assertive person. So I struggle with that because it's like, okay, when it's time for me to make the decisions, it's like, but then when there's no pressure on me, it's like, okay, yeah. Then she's like, well, that's not what was supposed to happen. So now she's looking at me like, okay, now great. Now you put us, excuse me, in this predicament. Now you gotta get us out. So now it becomes now more like we was talking about before in the other previous podcasts, the open communication. All right, now, because she was telling me, hey, I don't know what's in your head. You don't know what's in my head. Get it all out. So that's the perks of another perk of having a partner. Like, listen, let's lay all this stuff that we have down in our head that we want to do, so we can do it together. And if we decide to collectively not to do it or do it, then we both have to live with that. Yeah. So, for me, again, I'm sorry, it is the unconditional love. It is the fact that I don't have to guess, even if we don't say it verbally. I don't have to guess whether or not the love is there. You know what I mean? Even when we're at odds.
And how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great because, before we got together, I was in a room at home, 4 walls by myself every day, back and forth. And it was the loneliest feeling ever. You know, how I knew that she was going to be mine for the rest of my life. I had no kitchen, no anything. I was living in a room and house, just a bathroom and a bed. You know, I had no cable, no Wi-Fi, and she still came to see me, still came to visit me and spend time with me. She saw how I was making food out of a microwave, basically, as if I was in jail or something.
Mm.
I got a hot plate one day, I finally got a hot plate. I showed her a video of me making food, and she was like, you know what? I'm gonna bring you some food, and made food and brought it to me. And I was like, you know, something as small as that. You know, she was so concerned
What
about
did
me
she
eating.
bring? That
You know,
broccoli,
No,
chicken, shrimp, pasta
She made me
dish?
she made me some pasta though.
Oh.
It was pasta,
I'm just curious.
but it was good. It was. I haven't had a hot meal.
Yeah, I understand.
So to have a hot meal that wasn't ramen noodles or oatmeal that I would make out of the microwave was like, all right, she took the time and effort to bring this to me from all the way where she lived to come all the way over here just to bring it to me and spend time with me.
But it's the unconditional love, though.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all right. I didn't know if that was her insert. I didn't know if that's when she was supposed to insert herself.
No, I don't know. I don't know either.
either.
I see you're looking at the screen. Do we have any comments?
Nope.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, we thank you for joining us for tonight. This has been the Voices of Men podcast, filling in for our founder and Miss Audrey on tonight. Thank you for joining. We hope we said something that could benefit you along the way. We are now on Podbean, right? And you can follow Dare to Be Different, Voices of Men, rather. Let's Talk is the podcast title. But you can also find us on Instagram. Dare to Be Different
Yes.
this is all being filtered through. So give a follow on Instagram, Dare to Be Different. Okay, and
make
go
sure
ahead.
you like, subscribe, comment, and continue to send your feedback. Obviously, we would love to hear your feedback. We love the fact that you guys are giving us different type of topics to talk about. Give us something that you feel as though as men we need to talk about, and it makes it all the better for us. So you guys give us feedback, and we will continue to give you this great content that we are giving you.
Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. We appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll be back for another segment soon.
I think we did good. I appreciate you coming by and, you know, holding it down for a brother, you know?
Well, I appreciate you having me. Let's build each other up and not tear each other down. Until next time, beloved Voices of Men, God bless you.